Yeah, dear alumni, I'm thrilled to see you all. It's always a bit tough to host a webinar on a beautiful day like today, at least in Switzerland. And so I'm even more pleased that you're joining us this afternoon for another session on skilling in the age of AI. My name is Fabian. I'm the head of events at the HSG Alumni Office here in St. Gallen. And I'm pleased to introduce to you our two speakers who will shed some light onto the manufacturing industry and more specifically on how AI can have a huge impact in procurement. With us today is Alex, who is the founder and CEO of Intellize. Alex studied at the University of St. Gallen, and while doing so, he started his own AI business, which has taken off quite impressively over the past year. And he'll share a bit more about his exciting story in a minute. Further with us is Louis. Louis is the head of procurement Central Europe West at Holcim Switzerland. And as the head of procurement for 4 countries in Europe, he is responsible for 36 employees and a spending of more than 700 million Swiss francs. So we're happy to have you both, Louis and Alex. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Alex and Louis have already shared a few of the use cases and learnings with me in preparation for this event. And I'm very excited for you to also be able to learn from their experiences, as it is really quite remarkable. So with that, as always, I invite you to send your questions in the chat or raise your hand during the Q&A so that we can have a lively discussion at the end of the session. Louis, Alex, now the floor is yours. Thanks again for being with us.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Fabian. Hello, everybody. My name is Luis Pachas. I'm here with Alex, which you introduce yourself.
Yes. So my name is Alexandre de Perregaud. Let's jump into this webinar. So really, if you have some questions, just write in the chat and we are excited to answer them then at the end. So maybe just a small intro from myself. Yes, I am a HSG alumni. So I did my bachelor's at HSG in business administration. And I also started the master in business innovation, but I paused it in the middle because Intellize, it worked out, the project, and we are now a serious company. I have 5 years startups experience. So I always knew I would like to build something from scratch. And I think the most important thing is to be in contact with people and to talk to customers. And also, in my opinion, the industrial sector is the backbone of our economy. And that's why we focus on the industrial sector. And also, we see that procurement is a department which gains more and more importance in the industrial sector. And GPT 3.5, its release was really the big bang for Intellize. And we're going to show you a bit more.
Thank you, Alex. So my name is Luis Pachas. As you can see, as Fabian mentioned at the beginning, I'm managing 4 countries, so Switzerland, Italy, south of Germany, and the east part of France. I've studied business as well in Peru, I'm Peruvian national, and further education with the IMD in the program for executive development, which is basically general management. 20 years of experience in the procurement supply chain. And supply chain procurement, of course, for me, it's a bottom line impact. And actually, I have worked in different industries and could benchmark in different ways, especially in the oil and gas as well, in the building materials, which I am in the moment, and the hospitality business as well. My aim has been always to defend margins. And this is something that is very important in the current situation. In the last years, we have been able as well in our organization to protect our margins, build certain topics that increase margins as well in certain materials or services. And actually, this has been always the focus for our side. As a passion or as a sport, I tried to hack ChatGPT 3.5 for a few times, but I was not successful. So it's actually something that I brought in order to work with Intellize and with Alex, which is as well the passion to do something new.
And also we think that procurement equals profit. And that's why we want to leverage here generative AI to have also impact on the P&L. So HSG alumni also said that you may be interested how Intellize started. So here a little roadmap. In 2022, I visited the course Design Thinking for AI at University of St. Gallen, which is basically everybody in my master's wants to do this course. And we had their project with Siemens and were able to talk to Siemens on a global level, giving us insight in an industrial company. And then in December, I discovered GPT 3.5. Of course, it was released in November, but I heard of it the first time in December, and it immediately raised my attention. And when GPT 4.0 came out, I think in March or in April, I immediately bought the premium. And I was also amongst my friends, the first one who had the premium license, also still 4 months later. And quickly I discovered that it could do a lot of my work at university, in example, writing papers, and it gave me 60% efficiency boost. So I was like, okay, this has a lot of potential. Students started asking me, how do you leverage GPT here at university? How do you prompt? And then, there was the idea, let's call industrial companies with focus on procurement and supply chain departments to see if they have heard of this new technology. And it turned out many of them did not really, or just were reading something in the newspapers. And so we proposed that we can tell them how to interact and how to prompt with large language models like ChatGPT. And quickly, just after 1 week, we gained the first customer. And and just after 1 month, explaining how you prompt, the company started to ask, can you also leverage internal data with a large language model? So then Sebastian joined, which you see also maybe here at the side as co-founder at Intellize. He studied at ETH, and also Matteo joined. He's also participating here in this Zoom call. And basically we just started applying design thinking and built first proof of concepts. And we were very lucky to gain important customers as Holcim, with whom we are here today, or SFS. And now we are here 1 year later, and we'll show you what product Intellize built in the meantime. So just a quick overview of Intellize. So that's our management team, which I introduced before already. And then we also have Vinet Khanna as advisor. He was before head of supply chain at Nestle. So a very valuable person giving us advice and also connections. Facts about Intellize: we are currently 6 full-time employees. Soon we're going to be more, and we are bootstrapped, so we have no investors. So and we are from ETH and HSG. Our office is in Zurich at Stadthausgä, and the customers say that we are fast, available, and courageous. And we have AI innovation partnerships together with Holcim and with SFS Group in St. Gallen. So
good. So how it started the relationship between Holcim and Intellize? And I have to say that this is a very interesting discussion that I started with Alex when he approached me. So basically in December, I was, as I wrote at the beginning, I was always trying ChatGPT, and I found that it was very interesting assistant for me, because even if some of the questions were not accurate enough, the answers that I was getting were, first of all, fast, and it could break as well any type of or increase the performance of answering questions and answering certain topics that I was curious about. That's starting in December. In February, March in 2023, we saw, of course, the trials of the GPT and what were the potentials that we might have. Nevertheless, I was keeping in mind still that the answers that we were getting were still not 100% accurate. And I was not expecting that. I have to make the trials at that time. Over the months, of course, as I mentioned it, for me, GPT became like kind of an assistant that I could actually talk and write almost 24/7. And I could see as well that when the release of GPT was getting better, as well the answers were getting better. And that's why I was talking as well with Alex on that time. And then we started to see, okay, based on this experience that I had, actually, we should build a business case that actually we can start to perform. And the first thing that we found, it was, okay, how we are going to compare terms and conditions between contracts that most of the time, nobody reads the small letters that are millions of pages behind, how I'm able to actually compare them, and actually how I'm able to see if there is any benefit of any risk that I might have winning this contract. And I spoke with Alex. He told me it could be possible, and then we started to build this business case. And then we went in another level, and then we tried to make all this contract in a little bit more structured way, because as Holcim, we have as well terms and conditions that we use with suppliers and with clients. And we don't want that whatever we sign outside is going outside the framework or the legal framework that we're supposed to have. And that was as well easy and successful, because we were able actually to see that the response that we were having for the ChatGPT was actually fast. And from there, we said, okay, it is working. And now let's move in what is my real focus, which is P&L. And from there, we started to build another business case, which was basically extracting all the information that we have in our SIP. We have millions of information, not only on the local level, regional level, global level, which can actually give me some value at the end of the day. Because it is important that I understand that having the information or the data is not enough. It's actually what you do with the data and what your questions are for the data, because this has to be an impact at the end of the day in the P&L. And then we move to the tail spend, and I ask Intellize, I have certain amount of money that I'm not touching within procurement because I have millions of suppliers. It's very small spend, and I can really not negotiate this type of spend because it's very low. And then I ask Intellize as well, look, if from this amount of money that I have that is spend that I'm not touching, which is where around 80 million more or less, and I can gain something that will make an impact in my P&L, because most of this material either are going to inventories or either are part basically on inventories, MRO topics. And since then, the focus was has to be a P&L business case that we actually need to drive. And since then, we have been moving very fast. For me, the clear return of investment is exactly what is the output that I will get from this P&L or tail spend solution. That's how it was started, the relationship between Holcim and Intellize. We started from the idea to use something, we move to structure our data, then we move to a very simple task, and then we start to focus more, okay, now we need to drive it in a return of investment approach.
Yes, and
well, what I can say is, and that's something that I told to Alex, and I have said, the steps that we see in this type of projects are exponentially faster than any other IT project that we have been working. And that's very remarkable, because we see in every week, maybe in every month, or every 2 or 3 weeks, an update on something that at the beginning was not working or we didn't thought about it. But this is as well part of feedback sessions, being there with all the team, not only listening on the procurement side, it's actually listening at the business side and interviewing with everybody, what is important for each person, what is the take for each person in this project.
Thank you. So let's jump into Be Pro, to be proactive, be profitable, and be professional. So that's the product Interlise has been working on together with Holcim now since more than half a year, around half a year. So maybe just a question to you, Luis, and I think you all see the screen. So here we have two offers. Of course, they are a bit longer, but that's to buy heavy machinery for the mines of Holcim, and you have to compare these offers. So how do you do this currently?
Well, normally every category manager or buyer or operational procurement manager, they will receive these files and they need to read one by one, make their own table, Excel, and then start to make their TCO comparison, which can take quite a long time, especially because we don't buy only one machine. We buy more than 220 machines per year. So
yes. So here you see the process. A simple comparison can take a couple of hours, or very simple 1 hour. But if it gets complex, we saw, very complex Excels with like 200 rows. And you can take up to 5 days to compare it. And that's why we built Be Pro, which we're going to show you in a minute. And basically, it does almost everything for you. It extracts all the relevant data from offers. It compares the offers for you. And it also does some compliance for you. So it searches the web for sustainability information, for certificates of the supplier. And then the procurement department is left with the most important task, and that's the decision making. And that's also what humans can do best. So let's jump into the demo. Reload here. So can you all see the screen, the tool? You see Be Pro? Yeah? Okay, great. So here we have an overview of the sourcing events. And what you can do is you can upload here your PDFs. So normally the suppliers send an offer in PDF format, can be 1 page, can be also 50 pages long with lots of technical specifications. And basically you can browse here the files and upload them and give the comparison a name, an example, sourcing for plant Siegenthaler. And then you can select here from a mode. So basically what you have in procurement are so-called scorecards, where you have a different criteria to analyze offers. It can be up to 200 criteria which are needed to make an informed buying decision. And you can save all these criteria here in Be Pro and then click on upload and analyze it. This takes a couple of minutes, so we do not want to wait now 5 or 10 minutes. So if we click here on an analysis, which we done before, you see here, after going through 5 offers, it gives you a first recommendation on the first side here. What is important, and also says recommended file. It's the EB 23-2203 Holcim Schweiz AG. And here you see for all important criteria, like an example, price, what was the price of each offer, what are the price reductions, transportation cost, what's the guarantee, and so on. And this here is rather a simple use case of the criteria, because normally Holcim would have here around 70 criteria.
Oh.
Yes, yeah, that's pretty cool. So, and also what you can do is you can give a weight. So you can say, okay, this criteria is very important for me. So probably price is always one of the most important things. Not always, no. Sometimes it's also the delivery time or the guarantee, of course. Or,
TCO.
yeah. And you can also write here a target. So in example, you could say 5,000 hours is my target for the warranty. And then you can regenerate the comparison and gives you an updated recommendation based on your targets. And maybe Luis was mentioning TCO. So this means total cost of ownership. So for people who are not working at procurement or finance, that's basically, yeah, maybe you want to explain it in one sentence.
So basically, it's a combination between different KPIs. What is important for us? For example, as Alex was saying, we were talking about heavy mobile equipment. So in some cases, we will think that maybe the machine that consume less diesel or that have less emissions as well, CO2, it is more important rather than the pricing. So we make a combination of all these KPIs, it creates a TCO. And that's exactly what in some cases it became very complicated, as I said, because we have many purchases and making TCO for everything sometimes was not possible. But with this, we could see that it was quite fast to do it. And that's what was the development of this vPro.
Furthermore, you also have here chat, and you can ask an example for some negotiation advice. So can you give me one question to negotiate better price? And you can also ask, so if you would have a new person working procurement, they can also ask, what does this Incoterm mean, DDP? Or if there's a question regarding something technical, you can ask here your assistant, vPro. So basically we're leveraging here GPT. And yeah, here you have an answer. So maybe if we zoom in, yeah, considering the long-term value and the partnership, we're eager to build. What flexibilities can you offer in the pricing structure that would make it mutually beneficial for us to commit to this deal? So here you would already have some advice. Yeah.
So I understand that you get this from the offer, the different criteria, and you get like a summary. And you also, I understand, get that for several offers. However, sometimes, let's say it's construction machines, maybe they offer a machine which is not really easily comparable with the other machine. So even if you would look at the price, this could be misleading because it's maybe not the same configuration. How does the algorithm, is that regulated by the weights that you have to enter, or will the machine somehow also highlight these differences?
Yeah, good question. So what you can do is you can create your own mode. So this before was like standard comparison criteria. And here you can just add your own criteria. So in example, technical specifications. And then you can ask here every criteria which is important for you in order to make it more comparable, or to have at the end an apple and an apple to compare it. Mm-hmm. And you can also give the weight. So maybe the size is not important, so you give it a 1, and it's just I don't know, the capacity or the running hours which is important for you, so you give it a 5 or a 4. Yeah,
that's complex. Yeah. Just a question by interest. Mm-hmm. You did this on this lower tail. Paulo, I think he said. Let's say you would take a bigger item. Have you tested that? So one of the items that is done not with your solutions, that is done with one of the 30 or 2 of the 30 strategic buyers. Have you tried that? What happens there?
Yes, so basically I have started to do this tail spend because I can tell you my experience. So I'm the one who approved POs, basically purchase orders, right? So every time that I approve POs, I always challenge in more or less, is this the correct price or not? Even if there are catalogs behind, I always try to challenge. And then I remember I saw a motor that was around 120,000 Swiss francs delivered into a plant, which is not a tail spend, it's actually a considerable spend. So I went to Google and I start to search for the machine in Google, or for this motor in Google. And then I start to find that there were different sources around in Google, which prices were around 30% less of that motor. And then I start to be a little bit more curious about it. So I start to look for other products, even a heavy mobile equipment. I remember I start to look, and most of the time I was founded prices that were much cheaper. Now, while looking at this, I was thinking, okay, is this reliable information that I can really consider or not? So I took the phone and I called the supplier that was in internet in Google, and I asked for a formal offer, and they give me this offer. So yes, to answer your question, I did try other products that were not only in Tailspin, and I always found something better. Now, it will not always happen that you will find something, because there are certain products or materials that are very specific for our industry. So you, for example, I don't know, a kill shell, for example, you will not find in internet because of the diameter, because of drawing specifications, etc. But products that are standard, like a motor, easily. And more or less in this area, I found 30%. And that's what I told to Alex, let's start with the Tailspin, and then we will start to challenge more over with other products that are more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe here we compared like bigger offers. So that's for heavy machinery. So you see also the price here is an example, 318,000. So the offer comparison part of B Pro was built especially for CapEx, in example. So for big and complex offers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe this answers your question.
Yep. Okay.
So you can basically upload 5 documents which have each 50 pages, which would take a human more than 1 day to just go through in detail.
Yeah.
So to go maybe back into the presentation. So yeah, just quickly for the Tailspin, I mean, Luis mentioned it, that 80% of the suppliers are in the tail, but there's not enough time to benchmark them. And they also make up a smaller chunk of the total spend. So you have here this typical Pareto principle. And what our goal is to leverage AI resources to also save cost on this tail spend, and that the procurement department is more focused, and that humans can then negotiate with the big suppliers. So to show you here how the tail spend B Pro looks like, it's similar to before. You can either upload here PDFs, which are offers, or a screenshot. You could also take a screenshot of something on Digitech and put it inside here and see if you find something cheaper. You can also upload a CSV or Excel file of your SAP data. So you can also benchmark 200 items at a time. And you can say in which country you are sourcing and which region you are targeting. If you want to look worldwide for offers only in Switzerland, only in Germany, or only in France, or in just 3 countries. So let's go inside here of benchmarked, where we had a look at 170 ball bearings, which Holcim is buying in France. And we see an example, it identifies more expensive offers online, which shows the purchasing is performing good, but it shows also cheaper ones. So here an example, you see it's a bearings roller, Rotul Arul Ref 23136K, and they bought it for 943 euros per piece. And online it found one which is around half as expensive. And then you can click here on the link. And yeah, I identified it. And yeah, today we tested with your team quite extensive.
Yeah.
With 5 people from procurement. And yeah, we were able to discover some potential new suppliers. And cheaper offers.
Yeah.
Do you want to add here something?
No, from my side, I mean, in the case of Tailspin, I think I have only one thing to say at the end of the day. What it's important and what Alex mentioned is people in our organization in procurement, they have to be more focused in the strategical part. And this we will leave actually to be pro to do it for us and find other solutions. The aim at the end of the day is not always to change supplier, is as well to challenge what we have at the moment, because in many cases we have suppliers with catalogs already in, and that will be a challenge as well. Go to the catalog and challenge our current suppliers in that perspective.
Mhm.
So we have also a part about key factors for success and also what our challenges are. So what we see, what really key activities are, is that despite being an AI company, the world is still analog, and that personal contact is very important, especially that we have also to change some habits of the people, because interacting with AI is very different to normal software we use nowadays. So for us at Interlise, it's very important to do the tasks ourselves. So we're not just building an AI solution and say it's fancy and then we give it to Holcim and Holcim can figure out how to use it. As an example, today we, together with our partners and customers, we do the job together. So we want to feel the success together, we want to feel the pain together, and through this do-it-yourself approach, we get very valuable insights how to reshape processes. And of course, feedback flows into this as well, and to set up clear goals. So an example, how many savings do we want to achieve? And to have also strong sponsorship, an example by Luis at Holcim. And some essential insights are that with these AI projects, they are moving way faster than normal IT projects before. So the technical development is faster than people can change. So it's really every week where the end users are not testing or using a software after it's released. In this week, our technical team can push so much better code that it's hard to catch up. So it's even more important to be in touch together and to have access to the processes, data, and people of the procurement departments. And of course, for Interlise, a key insight or essential insight is that, how is professional procurement done? And for you, Luis.
Well, from my side, one of the key learnings or insights is, first of all, involve your IT department on time, because data security, it's key for us and had been key when we started this project. So we actually took IT as a stakeholder, and we inform and we run together, okay, where are we working, what are we doing, what are we aiming? And one, this is clear, we continue. The second thing for us, the access to processes, which is key for us as well, data and people. And when we talk about people, it's basically what we are going to inform, communicate to the people what we are doing with this project. Most of the time when you are starting this type of project is not positive, to be honest, because people think that they are going to be replaced by any of these machines, which is not the case. In most of our communication has been always, we are running this type of projects specifically to perform better and to ensure that you guys or the team in procurement is doing something with more value at the end of the day. And hands-on, of course, on AI learnings. And this I told as well to Alex, feedback has to be there, even if it's not nice to hear, but this is the only way that we learn actually how to make it better. And of course, the constructive criticism has been, when I asked Alex if he wants to run a project, I asked him you have to convince all my team that they want to run the project, and no need to convince me about the project. I am in, but you need to convince all the stakeholders around. And this has been the part of how you're going to drive after the project, because it will be much easier after to involve everybody. And last but not least, the key learning is that the adoption strategy, which we built as well within the project. And we learn as well that when we go through adoption strategy, this might be one of the most critical topics in terms of how we are extracting value from this project at the end of the day. And at the end, the people is going to receive the return of investment that they were looking for.
Yeah.
So here, a little technical information. So most of you probably heard of chatbots. So to leverage internal data and knowledge with chatbots. So maybe you are working at the company where you have already your internal chatbot, which is like a ChatGPT, just with your internal data and data secure. But we see with this use case that it doesn't create bottom line impact, which is measurable. So where we see the big potential of generative AI is on 3 steps. The first one is on extraction. So it can extract data from small documents, but also from huge documents without adding complex OCR technology or learning algorithms. It's just here. So there are many startups and companies who built algorithms over the past 5 years for millions of investment to extract just a certain type of data from a document. And we were able to replicate this in a matter of days. So that's huge, this potential here. So we have also here an example that it extracted, here an example of 3M Schutzanzug with the size and everything from an offer. Then the next step is the categorization. So large language models are excellent in categorizing information. So you can give this text at the left, 3M Schutzanzug, and say, look, you have here 3 categories, A, B, and C. Which one would you say is it with the highest probability? And then it will say, yeah, 3M Schutzanzug, that's for facility management. And this concept you can not only use in procurement, there are many other use cases where I can use this categorization. And there are not many companies who leverage this possibility of large language models. In example, it can also help to clean up a lot of data, which is in the ERP of the company. So, I mean, SAP, if you have the same system since 30 years, your data is not very good normally. So what you could do is extract the right information from the unstructured data sources like PDFs or Word documents or PowerPoints, and then say what is important to you and start cleaning it. And then the third step is the interpretation, comparison, recommendation, negotiation. So it goes more a bit into thinking. And yeah, so I mean, it can tell you how to negotiate. Generative AI can recommend you an offer or supplier based on all these data points which it extracted and categorized before. And that's basically the core technology we are building at Intellize.
Question? Can you hear me?
Yes. Sure.
You know, I'm a CFO, but I worked in procurement, and one of the things that I'm in the food business, we would very much not want that all our suppliers are known to whomever. However, if you do this comparison, doesn't the supplier data, isn't that available then in somewhere? I don't know where you host this, or is it like is this comparison done in an area which is like, let's say, ring fenced? You know, I would like to know who are the suppliers for machinery for Holcim, but I shouldn't know it, and I don't know it. So I'm just saying, how do you deal with such confidentiality issues?
Yes. So what we do here, we host everything on Microsoft Azure. So we're also collaborating with Microsoft. We also went to the Circle where they are situated here in Zurich and have all 2 weeks a meeting with them to discuss our insights because they are learning as well. And so everything is on Swiss servers or on a Swedish server, which is in the EU, and the EU law is more strict than the Swiss law for data security. And also the companies audit us. So with all 3 months, we have an audit, and so far the IT departments were very happy with our data security measures.
But just to add something, Patricio, I think the important part, definitely on the data, this is a very good question. And that's why actually we start over to see, okay, data security. This solution is not connected to the SAP. So it's not connected to our system. Okay, so that's the main thing. At the moment, it's not connected to our system. We will see in the future if we will connect it. Right now, what we are looking is everything that is external and not connected to our ERP at the moment. Okay,
thank you. It was mentioned several times that you extracted data from somewhere. This question to either one of you. What does it mean, extract the data? I mean, the data is in the ERP system. So for example, somebody scanned the offers or whatever, they are there. And maybe also the correspondence with the supplier is somewhere or whatever. But how do you extract it? Because sometimes it's very well, in procurement projects, sometimes you have a problem if it's Europe-wide, for example, that people for the same category use different words, and it's not so easy to extract the data. Is there a procurement system already that you could work with?
Actually, when we refer to extract the data, is actually from everything that we have in place between offers, PDF, Excel sheets, comparison tables, and all this stuff. So not going to the ERP. So all external information that we have.
All right, understood. Thank you.
May I also make a question at this point?
Let me check really quickly with the speakers if we're through with the presentation already, and if we can go into the Q&A or.
Yes, we are through. Like, I mean, yeah, we're open
okay,
for
awesome.
questions.
Then the floor is yours. Go ahead.
This is Daniel from SUSOS in Dübendorf, Switzerland. Probably following up on the previous question. And did you think that, first of all, incredible, really nice, really nice. The nice part of Holcim having the mentality to trying these things and really incredible what you did in 1 year. Really, my compliments. My first question would be about controlling, in the sense of how do you, or is there a plan, or is it a topic to have a kind of controlling on the inputs, whatever you are extracting? So how would you think of checking that what you are extracting is really correct? And the other one is probably on the long term, how would you control that the output? So if you take different decisions, is there any long-term improvement in some other metrics that just only price, for example? So how would you think of judging, having this new employee that is this company, this product, on the longer term? So which decisions might bring value in a more general form to?
Yeah, Daniele, thank you very much for the question. I think it's very critical. I think Seb is going to answer to you about the input, and I will answer to you about the output.
The testing pipeline example.
Yeah, I mean, what we can see is that it's just very important to start building like bigger tests where we really try to quantify also what we input and then what we get out of the models itself. And here we can see that we really have to start testing more to really make reliable results where we can see that we are improving long term.
And also how we build these testing pipelines, it's we have different versions of the code and we measure then the output. So in example, we know for this 100 PDFs what the ideal output should be. So first a human has to write this down, and then we extract it with large language models. And then we use again a large language model to check if the output it extracted is the same as we say is the ideal answer. And then you start building an algorithm who verifies the output for different metrics. So that's the cool thing. You can use large language models to make your algorithm better and enhance testing.
And last but not least, Daniel, I think what was your question at the end related, what is the value that we are going to structure it? We have been discussing together with Alex, okay, we should have a target, which is a tangible KPI that at the end of the day is going to tell us from these 15 millions, we should achieve 8%, 5%, 10%. Of course, I would make it higher. But I think that that's important as well to measure, because with the output, the result, the value that we will get have to be a clear return of investment. And this is something that we are very keen to finalize soon with Alex, because this is the most important part at the end of the day.
Yeah, thank you very much. But my question was maybe for things that are a little bit more difficult to quantify. So you might win 1 million a year with some big supplier, but then lose a very good supplier. You know that. So the complexity of the system here probably can help in that sense of going just beyond checking on the price or on the sale.
Definitely. I think I'm completely with you. I understand your question. It is actually more strategical part. When there are big projects or actually purchases that are bigger, we put this tool to help us to take the more strategical decision at the end of the day.
Thank you. I will probably come back with another question later, but I'll let the other people. But this was answered very well. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for all the questions. I will turn to Sebastian real quick, since he's been already busy answering some of the questions that were posted in the chat. I don't know if you have any that you'd like to elaborate more on, or ones that you would like to pass on to Alex and Luis to discuss with the group.
We don't see on the screen the questions. You see that?
So we had a lot of questions regarding the hosting of the services. So here we are mostly using Microsoft Azure OpenAI services. This is regarding the closeness to OpenAI itself, which is still currently the strongest foundational model on the market. So this was the reason why we chose Microsoft Azure in the first place. However, it's also beneficial for a lot of customers, since they already have data processing agreements or privacy agreements with Microsoft themselves. And with Microsoft, we can also choose the location of the servers ourselves. So here what Alex mentioned regarding the hosting of the databases or the the web applications, or also the models themselves.
Were there other questions?
Thank you.
Yes, and then there was also one last question regarding the Python backend. Yes, so we are using Python mostly for backend development, and here we're scaling at the moment just the instances, which is currently enough with the usage what we're having, but we're also looking in writing the the application into the future, maybe with Rust or also Django, which has been proven to scale.
And then I see a hand.
Yeah, hi, this is Jörg. Thank you so much for the interesting webinar. It was mentioned by the Holcim manager that Interlise has to convince the team, that not he does it as a manager. So I'm very interested how Interlise does that.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to talk to the end users and just listen first, and also ask, what do you know about generative AI? And I mean, we started this last August, and they all didn't hear about ChatGPT, so we gave them an intro into it, and they had some concerns, and then many people thought either it can do nothing or it's magic and it will solve everything at once. And basically what we do is we visit Holcim in person. We ask them, how do you think can you use ChatGPT, and also really let them give bad feedback, which is not always motivating, but I mean, we want to solve these issues. And I think that's a big part. And also, we always say, if there are questions, we're always available.
And the important part here, just to answer a little bit more why I give the task to Interlise to actually to convince the team, is that in my way of management is as well, everything that is pushed top down will not work in the longer term. But if it's bottom up, it actually will last and will be actually more beneficial, not only for procurement, because they have other sides that they look, because they look at operations as well. And this spectrum will work much better from our side. And that's something that I've been always pushing, that the team takes decision and not that it's coming from me down.
Thank you.
Very big compliments to the team, because you seem to be so fast with what now Interlise was. So this kind of change management must be lived every day. So you have already a very open team, apparently. So really
yes, we have a very open team. Actually, I was speaking at the end of the year with all of them on the way that they have managed not only their job, that is actually the bottom line impact in terms of result on procurement, but at the end that they are moving further and actually adapting to the new situations. Because what is important for our side is we have our regular tasks, but there is so much happening on the sides that we are not looking, but we have to look. And that's the way that we integrate the team more on a bottom-up approach rather than a top-down approach.
And maybe also with other customers we have, which are also big industrial companies, we see more and more that this adoption and change management is a reason why projects can fail or do not have the impact as the management wishes. And therefore we emphasize a lot that we are in touch, that we go there, that we use together BPro or chatbots, and really do the tasks ourselves. And then the people also feel that it's really important for us. And I think that this is missing for many IT companies, that they do this.
Do we have one last question, Sebastian, that we can take up?
Yeah, maybe. So Pascal asked, when were you able to charge the first time? As I understand, it started somewhat like a design thinking project for which outcomes are unclear initially.
What do you mean with charge? Like
Invoice
money?
me. Invoice me.
Invoice. Yeah, the first invoice was written on the third day that Interlise was incorporated. And yeah. And
How much
good.
time did it take from your design thinking class until you actually started Interlise? I know it's a sort of a gradual
Ye-
process, but
Yeah, it took 4 months.
okay.
So, and it also started because of a project at HSG, because a person at Siemens really liked our approach, and through this, yeah, we had also at the beginning an intro with Siemens to kickstart everything, showing some validity also to other companies. I guess you also like this.
Yes, exactly. I mean, for me, the important part, and I told to Alex as well at the beginning, it's what we are delivering at the first stages. It will be consequently the end will be a positive or a negative project, and I saw already at the beginning the adaptability of the team, not only from our side but from Intelli's side, and that was key actually to move fast, because even as I said before, there is constructive criticism. They take it not personal, they take it correct, and they are driving to go further and to make something even better of what they were having in mind before.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights. Really, really impressive, this story. I would second what Daniele said. You know, really courageous. Also, the approach of both Holcim and, of course, this startup Intellize that grew out of HSG and added some manpower from ETH. So all the best to you all going forward with this project. Unfortunately, we cannot take up any more questions from the chat, but I'm sure that Alex and his team and also Luis will be happy to answer any questions directly. So we can probably share your contact information in a follow-up
Yes, sure.
email so people can reach out to you and get those answered. So thank you all for participating in today's webinar, another very exciting one in the series of Skilling in the Age of AI. And thanks again to our speakers for sharing these interesting insights. I want to draw just your attention really briefly at the end to our upcoming webinar, which is next week. As a heads up, we have Annabelle Fall, the Chief People Officer of Zühlke, and Rico Vida of Skillable. They will be discussing how HR should be involved in the topic of AI and how the implementation of AI has already changed the way we look at core competences. So we're excited to co-host this event with the HSG Alumni Club Connects HR and invite you all to tune in next Tuesday, June 25 at 12 p.m. And with that, again, thank you all for joining us for the session and wishing you all a wonderful and sunny rest of your day. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Everyone, cheers.